Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for now episode 2 of the Astral Leyline, a show where we talk about the intricacies and zaniness going on within the entertainment industry. Things like anime, manga, comic books, indie comics, video games, radio. You get the idea. On this show, we bring in professionals and creators who talk about things like this. And joining me today are fellow outstanding comic book creator and coming off of a massive win on Kickstarter, Chris, Christopher Curtis, aka Chris Style Inc. Hello,
Hey,
Chris.
what's happening?
Just like to introduce yourself real quick. Tell me what you do.
I'm just a writer, writer for a comic book series through my company, Crystal Incorporated. It's just an overall good dude.
I would agree with that. Next up, our second guest tonight is going to be Eric Bra. Eric, you're a professional voice actor whose resume is so long and grandiose. I don't think I have time to go over all the roles you've played, but you guys tell about yourself real quick, sir.
I'm Eric Bra. I'm a actor and voice talent and tabletop enthusiast and double IPA enthusiast.
That's our introductions, folks. So our first topic today is going to be a dual topic show. Our first topic is I'd like to get you guys' thoughts, and if you're in the comments, your thoughts on this. What is it about a piece of media that actually makes you want to pursue it? We live in a day and age we are constantly bombarded with advertisements. Buy this, watch this, read this, subscribe to this. And ultimately, you can't choose all of it. There's enough time nor money and no money. But what is it that makes you pick a very particular piece of media and say, you know what, I'm going to give this one a shot? Is it a flashy trailer, a cover art, word of mouth, critic reviews? What do you guys think?
I figured.
I'm gonna let Eric.
Honestly, it's a myriad of things. If it's a comic, it could just be the artwork, might just sell me right away. It could be word of mouth. I'm a active member of my comic shop, so I know the owner, and he gives me suggestions every now and again, and I go, "Oh, all right," and I check it out, and usually love it. And so yeah, same thing with movies. It doesn't matter what it is. Sure, there might be a trailer. It might be an actor in it I like. I mean, sometimes there's or maybe I'm in it, so then definitely I'm buying a copy. I'm kidding, but I am shamelessly self-promoting. But no, absolutely. Gosh, it's hard to answer, right? I mean, Chris, what do you think, Christopher?
It is hard to answer it, but for me, it's really just about if I can see your passion. If I look at your product and I see that you didn't make it to pander to a certain people, and you made it out of your own willpower, your own heart, I will get behind it. I grew up in a 2000s era where we had we had a much different culture where people made things or were not afraid to point it at their audience and say, this is for them. And if anybody on the outside would say, hey, this is not what we like, it would go, well, that's not for you. You stick to where you're at, and we stick to where we're at. So that climate's gone, sadly, but that's where I'm at. So if you do make something and you go with your feet planted, this is what it is, then that's just really good. But there's also an asterisk. Sometimes what you make can be really terrible, and the passion's there, but it's like maybe I shouldn't really be supporting it. So there's a kind of a hit or miss right there. But yeah.
No, I was pointing at myself because I mean, like, I've done films, and I did a 48-hour film, and I was like, I was gonna be producer, director. I was gonna, I was gonna do all this stuff, except I wasn't the writer. And when we got we were running out of time. Obviously, it's 48 hours. You only have so long to you have to start shooting on Saturday morning. So it's like, if you don't have it written by Friday night, you know what I mean? So I know that what we ended up with was probably not the greatest thing, but I thought, well, we'll win it in execution. And the passion was there. But I assure you, when you watch the final product, you go, yeah, this needs some help. But hey, I get it. It's if you have the passion and if it's well done, great. But it's sad when I had a thing we made during pandemic. Actually, it was an audio drama, and I thought, man, this is really good. I think we're really, and other people listened to it, but I'm sorry, man, just not that. You know what I mean? It just didn't hook me. It didn't pull me. It didn't. And you're like, all right. And as you said, not for you, I guess.
I think Chris makes a really good point, though, that target audience is a thing that exists.
Mhm.
And that definitely, I mean, it's a marketing thing for a reason. It definitely works. If I walk into a comic shop and I see something about being a cow farmer, well, I don't raise cows. I'm probably not going to be that interested in this. But a guy who does, but those go, oh, this is something I'm interested in. And that
Sure.
applies to anything. I think a lot of people, especially today, when they say they reject a piece of content, they don't ask themselves, was I the person this content was kind of marketed towards or designed to be for? And if you're not, well, then you may not like it. It's like if Powerpuff Girls came out today, which growing up we grew up with that show, so it was amazing. But if it came out today, I would look at it and go, well, I'm not really interested because this looks like a show for children, and I'm no longer a child, physically at least. And that,
Well, I mean, you make a certain judgment just on the appearance of what you're looking at, and you're like, that doesn't look like it's for me. And the truth is, it might be. You just maybe have to give it a chance. But I also agree that or think that uh, the problem I'm having with the current environment of what we have in the world right now in 2024 is that there's people that think, oh, I don't like that. Nobody should like that. And so then they want to stop it somehow or don't think it belongs there. And I'm like, no, everything has its place. And again, as Christopher was talking about, this is a piece of work made by somebody. The audience doesn't really matter when you're making something that you're making. You're like, this is my art, this is my piece, this is my thing, whatever it is. It doesn't really matter if the audience likes it, but you hope they do, and you hope that sure there may be things that, like you said, direct marketing and targeting of a demographic, maybe. But if that's what you want to do, that's what your piece is. That's what you wanted to do.
that's absolutely accurate.
Yep.
And everyone has the right to their idea, and the thing is, you have it's how many famous directors, writers, comic book writers, anime writers, and mangakas have gone off from a popular thing to make their passion project, and the passion project doesn't even do a quarter of the sales of
Yeah.
the popular thing.
Yeah.
That's because this is what you're passionate about, but it wasn't what the current market is really interested in.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Phil Tippett was a great animator, or is still a great animator, but he was always like a stop motion kind of guy. And he was around when Jurassic Park launched, and they used his animations to model the digital dinosaurs they now had. Right, like there's a scene directly corresponds with one of the animations that Phil Tippett did with stop motion of the raptor jumping up on the counter looking for the kids, right? And the same looks, and except I think he had a tongue coming out like almost like a snake like. But other than that, they did all of these things and they followed what he did. And all these years later, he finally finished his movie, which was, I think it was Man God or something. I can't remember the name of it, excuse me. But he finally released it, and it's pretty epic, but it's all stop motion kind of stuff. But that's his passion. It didn't go over super huge or anything. And the same reason I can barely remember the name, but at the same time, it was his passion. And I know it's good because I mean, I've seen pieces of it, and it's epic.
There's definitely something to be said of giving a piece of media a chance when the first glance turned you off of it. I think Borderlands is a great example of that in the video gaming world, where that kind of cel-shaded art style, a lot of people looked at went, this does not look good at all. Why would you make a game like this?
Right.
And then we played it and went, well, this fits the wacky zaniness, over the top violence of your universe perfectly. And don't change this. Do not ever change this.
Yeah, there's
Right.
tons of things like that, though, I think.
I agree. Chris, anything? Anything you've ever said? Have you ever looked at anything before, Chris, that you thought this is not for me, but then you got in, you watched it or read it and went, okay, hold on, this is actually really good.
I mean, like the very last time that something was like that was like My Hero Academia, because I had this
Same.
I had this like preconception of like I don't like crying children, and I really don't really understand people that can get their powers handed to them and then it's whatever. But I finally watched it a few months ago, and it was almost like I get it. I realize that it's my fault. This is really good. So sometimes you have to like pull yourself away from what you think and what you know. And it's something that was taught in the Matrix, that people
Good
kind of
point.
forgot because all we cared about was kung fu. But you have to pull yourself out of the equation and really grasp at what it's trying to get you to feel and understand. And once you do that, then you realize, oh well, wait a minute, this actually was really important and really good. So same thing goes for like Tenet. Like people didn't like Tenet because the time travel didn't make any sense. And it's like, well, it didn't need to. Did you enjoy the whole premise? That's enough
Sometimes
for
something
me.
can just be crazy and let it be fun.
Oh yeah, fun. See, fun doesn't really happen anymore. Fun's something that you have to earn now.
There are two other topics you just that I would love to tackle eventually. One of them is the rise of the crying young boy protagonist in anime that cries at the slightest gust of wind. Looking at you, Tanjiro and Deku, where anything makes you drop to your knees and just cry about it. Just like, dude, just get on with the fight, please. That's something I'd love to look into at some point in time why that's become a thing. And your points are totally valid about, I think also what you're saying, if I can, is sometimes things that are really popular get ravenously popular. If you weren't part of that initial like wave, it turns you off of it. Because now everybody, oh, it's so good, it's so great. You're either going to be one of two camps, I think. You're going to have this high expectation because everybody tells you it's so good. And you're going to watch it and realize you're going to be let down because the bar's been set so high, you can't possibly reach it. Or you're going to counter it and be like, well, I hate this because everybody talks about it so much. That was me with, this will be controversial as all get out. Final Fantasy VII, when it came out, I hated it because everybody was just always talking about it and loved it and ravenous about it. Like, well, I don't care about this thing anymore. I'm tired of hearing about it.
I was a baby.
Today, people might like want to hurt me for not liking Final Fantasy VII still.
I mean, I can't really like share that because, like I said, I was a little baby. I was a young.
I always forget you're younger than me.
I just turned 32.
I always forget. It's a weird thing that happens as you get older on the internet because our generation kind of grew up with it. You presume everyone you're around you is like your age. It's like, no, dude, the age range from like 5 to like 80 years old. People are gonna run to the internet. You never know. But in your brain, you're like, well, this person's like in his 30s. He's an adult, right? This person could be like 15. You'd be trying to have an online argument with a 15-year-old.
Yes. And that's why I always kind of step back and go, wait a minute, before I keep going, do I really need to be talking to you?
Well, I think it really comes down to, is this worth it? Like, even winning this argument, does it do anything for me?
No, we all lose.
We all lose because there's
no winning an online argument, so don't try.
No.
I'm curious, whatever. Eric or Chris, if you guys walk into a big bookstore, I mean, like Books A Million or Barnes and Noble, somebody big who's not sponsoring it, but they should, and you go to look at the manga in the comic section, and you're like, I want to try something brand new. What can I find that's new today that's going to interest me? What do you think is going to grab your attention the most? Is it going to be something that's over the top and zany? Is it going to be a cat girl in a bikini? What's going to grab your attention?
I feel like did we have a talk about this prior?
You and I have discussed something very similar. Yes,
because I just bought a Books A Million book that I wasn't going to share, but I guess I will now. Asumi-chan is interested in lesbian brothels, Volume 1.
Sally, can you send me a link to something you can find that, please?
So I was on Twitter, and I'll put it in the private chat here in a second. But I was on Twitter, and one of these websites had put a link up to this book, and I wasn't gonna even bother with it, but I looked at it too long, and I just said, you know what? Damn it, I need it. And then I turned around and got Interspecies Reviewers 4, but which once again, shout outs to you, but
a delectably perverted series that my brain is very simple. So if things that pique my interest for an aesthetic reason or a writing reason get my attention, I'll jump onto it. I jumped onto Interspecies Reviewers when I happened to run across a trailer where it just was them talking about which brothel to go to. And it was like, we want to go to the Elf Girls or the Minotaur Girls. What? I have never heard of premise like this? What happens? And then I thought I was in for just some pseudo hentai kind of book, and no, what I read had moments in it that were so heartfelt that almost had me in tears. Like, this writer not only is fully aware of the gag that they're doing, they are also fully aware that a story has to have some kind of heart to be good.
Yes.
Bravo. Bravo all around. Eric, you go to a comic shop a lot. If you're walking into a shop, what is going to get your attention? What do you think is going to do it? Is it going to be word of mouth from the shop owner? Which is a nice thing about mom and pop comic shop. They get to know you and they can get you that.
I will tell you
don't have
that I'm lucky that my comic shop is one right down the street, and the other is that it's very well curated. If there's, like they have the shelves of the new issues of whatever, where it's Marvel and DC here and Image and other people, and like the different labels each have their little racks.
Big boys.
And then there's books that they just think this is standout. Like this is something that everyone should read. And they end up on like a little, and they're usually like trades, something that's been collected or whatever, or it's one book, that kind of thing. Like, as a matter of fact, I just this week grabbed Ai Weiwei, wrote Zodiac, which is I don't know if you know the artist Ai Weiwei, but famous artist from China who was beat down for being an artist. But anyway, it's a wonderful graphic novel called Zodiac, and I haven't finished it. I just started it, but I was like, this is really cool. It's all sort of like a black and white thing, but the art's great, and obviously the stories are about his life, which I find very interesting. I also read another one that I loved called Unrig, which was all about fixing our political system here in the States. Like, there are graphic novels there that mean more than just, they're just regular literature in my mind. But and so it just depends. I'll see Wolverine on the cover or something and go crazy. If I see, what I mean? If I see characters that I like, then I'm like, oh yeah. Like I'm huge into the series Saga on Image. I don't know if you guys know that one, but it's
I've read I have every single trade that's come out. That is
I have like the first 50 issues because I was buying it every week because I couldn't stand the idea of waiting. Now I wait for the trades, but I will admit it's just it's like every 6 months maybe I get an issue, and I'm just like,
it's not a fast coming out book. From what I understand, Fiona Staples, the artist in that book, who is very good at what she does.
Oh man,
I understand she is kind of famous for being very slow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's true or not. This is what I've heard.
Ridiculously slow, and I'm constantly reminded of like. I think it's Patrick Nagel or Nagel, the artist from like the 80s who did the Duran Duran cover and stuff. I love that style of art, and I don't know, it's awesome work, and it's a great series. If nobody's checked it out, please check out Saga on Image. It's
there is a reason.
I mean, look, I know they're the big guys in that sense for publisher wise, and you guys are like independent publishers.
No, so. Saga's a big boy by every. Saga is the only non-Marvel or DC book that when it comes out will top Batman or Spider-Man in sales.
Right.
And there's a reason for that.
That's a very good book, man. I really love it. And Brian K. Vaughan's a great writer, and
good.
It's wonderful. So
that's a book series that. The cover art or anything never grabbed my attention. The art didn't grab my attention.
It did me.
It got pushed to me by a friend of mine. I knew the guy who ran the comic shop. He goes, "Hey, you should read Saga. I think you'd like it." And then I read it and was blown away by the things that I ran into and things that I didn't know you could get away with doing in a comic book in the mainstream market.
I thought it was kind of cool, the sex scenes. It was a really interesting.
It goes in places. Chris, have you read Saga?
I have viewed it several times, but I have never got into it.
I've said this before, and I know I said cursing keep minimum, but this will fall into that hopefully. The first lines of Saga are, "Am I shitting? It feels like I'm shitting." Those are the first dialogue in any of Saga at all, and you're gonna look at this going, "Well, this is some kind of like knee-jerk reaction book, isn't it?" No, it mixes that in really well,
and it's it's just a. Well, hell, probably stories of ourselves, really, humanity in a lot of ways. But they
very relatable.
They split it by creating the Moonies and the So it's very interesting, and I think it's a well thought out thing. Brian K. Vaughan does a lot of writing like that, where he writes about these kinds of issues, like racial relations or immigration,
how we view gender, all kinds of fun stuff.
Oh yeah, all kinds of things.
But he has this masterful thing. This isn't a Saga cast, but he does this masterful thing where he does it, but he doesn't feel like he's preaching at you. This is a mistake a lot of writers make.
Yeah, I think the way to introduce new topics and issues like that is to just write about people that are going through that. Not, this is why you should care. No, just show them living the life, and you feel empathy for them. You want to now understand what it's like.
And Chris, Sally just sent me the first issue of cover art for Asumi-chan interested in lesbian brothels. I want to point out that you continue to be a man of culture.
It's all because of you. Don't even.
We have reached this really amazing thing, and I know I'm simple because I'll go into the comic shops and I'll go into Booksman and whatever. Like, all right, well, this looks pretty cool. Most recently, I picked up. I've been reading Rooster Fighter, which the art is not quite Berserk level, but in the same realm. And the entire thing is it's a shonen, kind of like Fist of the North Star, but instead of a guy who's all muscled up, it's a literal chicken who goes around fighting demons in our world. And the artist put such intricate details into it. The feathers are done like back in remember like the 90s X-Men cartoon where the guys had like abs on the side of their bodies that were just perfectly chiseled and well detailed. Yeah. It's that, but with feathers. So just reading, I saw that this is insane and zany, and I want to see insane and zany. But we've reached a really fascinating thing in the comic, at least in manga especially, where we can have things that are pseudo-lewd. We'll go with ecchi as a safe term, but the writing around it is great, is amazing. So you're getting to stimulate your brain and, well, something else at the same time.
I'm actually. Oh, I was gonna say I'm actually sending in the private chat. Crazy food truck also needs to be seen by you.
Crazy food truck.
Yes.
All right. I'm curious. I'm interested. It's weird that some of my artists now will send us. Crazy food truck. I got this. I say crazy food truck, as like Futanari almost. 0 customers, a naked young lady, and an armed militia. Okay, that's again. I like zany, so that sounds like it gets my attention. This is insane, and I love it because what is happening here? This is crazy.
It's funny. You were talking about like what turns you on to something, and I did actually get a suggestion the other day from my friend Ryan. Was like he had tweeted about Undead Unluck. And I had never heard of it. I didn't know anything about it. And he's like, I was on Hulu and I just stumbled on it and tried it. And I went ahead and went, okay. And I had a moment, so I turned it on. And it's funny because sometimes that sort of zaniness of the fact that you can be ahead or just shoot enough blood to stay levitating. I was like instantly, I would be like, yeah, this is bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, but
that's another thing.
But I will tell you, the funny thing is when you stick to it and you keep going with it, it sometimes turns a corner for you where you go, fine, I'm in. And I gotta say, it was the bounding off of buildings, carrying the girl, the unluck girl. Oh, good Lord. I was like, oh, hold on. I'm actually starting to like this. And then the mere concept that he only wants her because she could kill him. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, this is actually kind of interesting. And it actually made me pause and go, all right, I'm coming back to this.
I watched recently the anime Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead, which is, at this point, me personally, I'm just burned out on zombie stuff. We've been seeing it it's been a constant barrage of it. But Zom 100's trailer showed where this guy enters zombie apocalypse, but instead of being, oh no, I have to survive, he is the most ecstatic, happy guy ever because he no longer has to go into his terrible job. Like, right. This is actually relatable. And then they do a really neat thing with the visuals. There's a live action series. I haven't seen that, but I've seen the anime. The anime takes all the blood and stuff, and they color like neon, like almost like paintball neon colors. So it doesn't, even if you have a hard time stomaching violence, you can get into this zombie one and still enjoy yourself. Which I understand people, not everybody's into the violent things. I kind of came up with the 80s and 90s era of anime where if a dude gets his finger cut off, there's enough blood now to float a battleship. So everything was super violent and detailed.
That is a bit ridiculous, obviously.
The best kind.
It's not for everybody.
I've also, I can't remember what it was I watched. Well, it was probably Everything Everywhere All at Once when there was a moment where they would like, instead of showing blood, there was like confetti flying out of wounds and things like that. Like that kind of stuff is actually kind of, you're like, wait, what's happening? You know, like it's just, it throws me off a little bit, but I will say it is pretty funny and interesting to watch for sure.
Picking up with what you just said, there is a series, and Chris, I would recommend it to you if you like a series that will get to a point where your jaw hits the floor. was School Live, which I was told by someone, dude, you should watch. You like horror anime and crazy like mind blowing like episodes of horror. You should watch School Live. I look at the pictures, I'm like, it's just a bunch of like cutesy high school anime girls. Why would I want to watch this? And then I watched it, like, okay, this is exactly what this is until the last like 2 minutes of the first episode. And you see what's actually happening, and you realize, oh, everything I've been seeing as a subtle hint the entire episode now pieces together and go, oh God, this is a horrific situation. Actually, this is not what
Wait,
I thought it was.
so I just spaced you. You said School Live.
Yes, school is
I watched
Live.
that. I watched that a long time ago in
He's a little
high
older.
school. Yeah, I seen it. I
You
had a
don't talk
friend
about that
tell
in the
me
first
about it.
episode.
No, well, yeah. So when it was sent to me, back in the old days, I was
back in
like,
the
oh, this
older
is
days.
back when things buffered. But I'm looking at it and I was like, this is kind of like saccharine. I want to watch this. And then it got right to where you were talking, and I kind of was like, okay, this is scary. What happened? What happened to all the, is he gonna get the girl talk? What's going on here?
You realize, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, but just give it the first episode a chance. And it didn't hook me at all until the last, like, again, maybe 2 minutes of the last first episode, and went, oh my God, I am seeing a lie. And this is why. Speaking of lies, it's a good transition to our next topic, actually. We have one more topic today I'd like to talk with you guys about. And I'm sure a lot of people out there have been discussing this. I've been seeing forums on it and people talking a lot, not happily about this at all. If you guys haven't heard out there, or you, Eric or Chris, Funimation is no more. They are closing their doors entirely. What this means, though, is that as a digital service, they are also removing anything you paid for, your Blu-ray releases, your series, your movies that you thought you owned. They're gone. You get nothing. Good day, sir. And at the exact same time, Crunchyroll, who merged with them back a few years ago and is now the parent company, is doubling their price essentially on their services, going from $55 a year to $100 a year, where they will have the exact same power to remove anything you think you own as they wish. All of this is coming amidst some serious controversy around Ubisoft, where they came out and stated that gamers should get used to not owning their games. And then they launched a $70 live service game. This is very unorthodox, and I'd love to get you guys' thoughts on that. And anybody in the comments, I want to see what you guys have to think about this, because I can tell you myself, I'm insulted at best by these practices.
I'll jump in really fast. Well, hopefully really fast. I get too long-winded, but like I was just having this conversation with my girlfriend recently, because I was like, she's like, oh, well, let's get a copy of this DVD or Blu-ray or whatever. And I'm like, why? We have like Disney Plus or whatever, like we could just watch it anytime we want. And she's like, yeah, but we want to support the people that made it, or whatever the film is. Obviously, it can be anything, but you want to support the people that made it. You want them to know, yes, I actually want a copy that I don't have to worry about you not having, or, oh, your contract ran out and that's no longer streaming on your service anymore. Like, you're like, what? And the idea that you buy things, like, again, I've bought things on Apple and I own a digital copy of something, and I can watch it whenever I want, except you're right. If they suddenly shut
You
down,
don't own it.
I don't have anything. It doesn't matter. Like, it's all the ones and zeros go back to nothing. So
And Apple keeps your money. They can just take it and say, hey, you know
oh
what?
no,
They've
already taken the money. Trust me. Any of those corporations, the second they get your money, they're like, okay, we're done here. They don't care what happens after that.
Here's a really
They've
wild
already had
thought
you
for
sign some sort of thing that says, I understand, and user agreement, man.
If you wanted to watch all of Pokemon, the anime, you would have to have about 4 or 5 different sets of subscription services, because the series is chopped up between them. And they can still, let's say you made it to season 3, and I don't know how many seasons of Pokemon there are, but there's a lot. Been going on since I was a child, so a while. And you go to season 4, well, the company that has that decided to take it down, and you can't get to it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
Again, I buy everything on a disc then. I go old school and like, well, I got my big collection. I get it, I'm old, but at the same time, I can watch stuff that I own a copy of it, and I have it physically in my house. I understand that
on this, man.
The future is digital, of course.
They have been trying to find ways to streamline your money to their wallets without effort for like
Mainline.
40 years. Oh yeah. Right to the vein.
Yeah.
For years. So this is nothing more but just according to plans. But um I don't like it, and there's only one way to fight it, but we don't have the like manpower to stand up and tell them no, because while us three are like, no, like this is not a good idea, for every three of us there is a complete generation of people that are like, you know, it's
Well, that's the
easy
goal.
access. Yeah, because I remember when Xbox dropped the diskless Xbox. I think it might have been like the 360 at some point. It was one of those, and I kind of was like, well, what will you do with all these CDs? Like, don't you guys still buy CDs? Because they're not making the digital games
Listen,
cheaper. All them games
No, they make
are
them the
still the same
same
price.
price, which pisses
Same
me off.
price. Yeah.
I'm like,
So
really, dude? Now
so if they
you literally cut out your production, your cost, and then just went, yeah, whatever. You're just going to pay the same, and you're like, so you just got more profit.
and
Once they
when
realize they'll do
yeah, so when that didn't get touched by the big corporations and companies and laws that were supposed to protect consumers, I realized that the whole game was up, and there was nothing more that they can do. We're just gonna have to just bend over and take it. So get the spreading.
You've got a really good point, though, on something there, where people like us, we're not the target of this. Because we grew up in the days of Kazaa and LimeWire, we know how to get what we want. Funimation knows that when it comes to our generations, they're competing with a very particular price point, and that price point is free.
Mm-hmm.
We can get anything we want to watch online for free. It's the generation under us who's going to grow up with it and be normalized to it and think, oh, this is totally okay for me not to own things I paid for.
Right.
That's the problem.
I think it is what the future is for them. That's what they want. They want you to just subscribe to watch whatever you want. And I just sent you the link. I looked at the end of services, Funimation end of services, and it says everything you have, you'll have on Crunchyroll now. And then on April 4th or 2nd or something, it's going to switch over to where now you're just going to have a Crunchyroll account, and you're growing like the huge library of stuff that they have. You can just watch there. As far as price, I get it. Now you've cut two corporations down to one, so you're now cut one revenue stream out completely, and you're just going to pull them into Crunchyroll.
What you've done is you've effectively created a system where you can lay off at least 50% of a workforce. Your profits, your expenses are going down.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. And then you're raising the price so you can get some profits because you lost a lot in the process of that going under. Funimation dropping and Crunchyroll saying like, well, we'll take it over, or whatever. We'll migrate it all to me. Then they're like, yeah, we're just trying to make an Amazon. So Crunchyroll is bigger, and they'll be the Amazon. They're the Daddy Bezos.
I'm going to continue with the argument that they are competing with the price point of free, and that if you want to
Sony
continue,
owns them. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Sony has Crunchyroll. They bought Crunchyroll in 2021 for like $1.75 billion. Yeah, it's a lot of money being thrown around, but
they will streamline that down, I assure you.
If they want to make all of this a pain, I will remind them that we grew up with Kazaa and LimeWire, and it was harder back then to pirate because you had to know what you were doing. You don't have to know what you're doing now. You can find within 30 seconds websites that have everything you want to watch, or there's other methods you can do to get things without paying.
Right, but okay.
I'm not saying to do that because that's illegal, but I am saying you can do it.
I'm just saying, as an actor who on occasion does actually get a residual from something I'm in, it sucks that people would get it for free or not do it through the service, because then that changes the numbers and I don't make any money, and you know what I mean? So as being on one side of the coin, I can say, yeah, it does kind of suck a little bit. However, having grown up in this world, yeah, fucking A, you can go, you can go find anything you want. Really, it's pretty easy. And, nothing should really stop you from enjoying the content you really, really want. obviously there's times that they go, yeah, well, we're just not going to do that. And I'm older now. I stopped. I don't do a lot of that anymore. I used to when I was a little bit younger, but now I'm like, and I literally work in the industry, so I'm like, there's a camera, a lighting guy, a grip over there.
The reason why I wanted you here, because here's the point: we want to support the people who created these things,
Yeah.
especially for Crunchyroll to being in the anime industry. The anime and manga industry are infamously horrible to work in. So the gaming industry now. I mean, at this point, we also have an award for in gaming for best layoff because they're laying off people left and right.
We just had a strike. We just had a strike for a reason, because they were not paying the same as, like, back in the day when your show was on NBC, ABC, whatever, it was one on the networks, you got this residual payment when they'd use it. And then if you got to like 4 seasons in or whatever, you'd get this, like, all right, it's going to go into syndication. And there are actors who that's how they kind of actually paid their bills. It was like, and you appreciate everything they're doing. So, make the stream, and the streaming services wouldn't even tell us, like, oh, you had 100,000 views on this in an hour. No, they wouldn't even say that. They wouldn't tell you anything. They'd be like, nope, we already paid you for the series. We're done here. And they're like, no, you need to pay something, especially if you're going to continue using it, and all these, years might pass and something needs to be done. Because again, Hollywood's not easy. And there are people that get a gig in a show and you may never see another show. And sometimes it's nice to know that you can actually get paid for the work that you've done. And it's not like, oh, here's one piddly payment and you're done. It's like, no, you get a little something to kind of keep going for the success of these streaming services. Like, why don't you want to, like, help out the people that got you there? The reason that people tune into your service is because these people are on your shows doing your things, whatnot, right? Sorry, I am not the brightest of bulbs.
No, that's
I will admit.
fair. But we subscribe to things like Crunchyroll or Funimation historically because we want money to go to guys like, I'll use a big name, Akira Toriyama, who created Dragon Ball.
Right.
We want him to make money off of what he's done because he's put in the work. We don't want some guy on a corporate board to be able to buy a third yacht because he found a way to screw us out of more money.
Agreed, which is why they should be sharing a little revenue share for the actors, the people, the producers, the directors. If it trickles all the way down to the grip, I love it. That's what I want everybody to be able to enjoy a little success off that, because that's how you keep going.
If it trickles down to the grip is a wild sentence.
It is a wild sentence, and I apologize. And I know that
I know that I can use that in one of the books.
The funny thing is this is the only time you can say trickle down, and it actually happens. When they say, like, oh, give corporations huge breaks and it'll trickle down by giving more jobs, that never happens, because what they do is buy all their own stock and they make themselves stronger and then pay out huge dividends to their shareholders. Everybody else is screwed. All the workers, everybody else. So
literally had a conversation with Sally 10 minutes before this stream about how one of the best things you can do as a company is create a problem and then sell the solution.
Yeah.
Well, here's the problem. Yeah. There's too many streaming services. Well, how can I solve that problem? I buy the other services and I streamline it into one, but then I jack the price up out the wazoo. That's what you do.
Yeah.
Chris,
it is sad, but it's sad but true. But yeah, that's it. Sorry for the Metallica reference there. I apologize.
Oh, that's what it was. I was like, I've heard this before.
I was gonna break into the full on, like, sad but true.
I mean, it's not much more that I can add, because it's like I'm on the consumer level. I need lobbyists. I need people who are up there to stand firm and say no, like, enough's enough. Kind of like how they did when GameStop was getting screwed over in the in the stocks. All of a sudden the government came in.
Bad for GameStop.
But like, I'm more in love with the idea that the stock system got busted open for like a quick minute, and people were able to see, oh, it's easy to just make money doing this thing. Like, this is amazing. This was made against us.
The worst part of it, I think, honestly, that really troubles me is it's all in options, right? So yeah. It's like, this is going to be bizarre and sound really not right, but 9/11, right?
Oh boy.
Oh, good segue.
So
Yeah.
right before on the 10th, for some reason, now some people say it's a conspiracy and blah blah blah. I'm not going there. I'm just saying somebody was smart enough to lay a lot of options on the airline industry's tanking. And what happened the next day?
Oh, it tanked.
9/11, and every airline, their stock went into the toilet. And the guy that bet on this and put those options in made a shitload of money on our despair, right? Like we had this terrible event happen, and these guys were making money hand over fist because they started using the options. The same thing they did with GameStop and AMC or whatever I think it was.
AMC was the only guy hit with that, yeah.
Yeah, but when they did that, they just created the options, and that's how the users. And again, and I am always inspired by the community of people that will stand up and go, "Fuck you," excuse me, screw you. You know what I mean?
Mixed in here and there is fine.
And they will say, "Nope, let's go buy all the stock we can." And if you watch Dumb Money or whatever it's called, or I believe it's the GameStop story. It's not a documentary, but it's a whatever. It's a movie about that period of time. I think Seth Rogen is responsible for it. Or Seth, wait, is that right? Seth? Anyway, the comedian guy is all I meant, not Joe Rogan. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, it's all about that, where they said no, and they stood up, sunk their money in, and actually some of them obviously got out in time, and they did okay. But unfortunately, yeah, but that's the power of us. If we stand up and we go, here's my checkbook, you're not getting a piece of it, or my debit card, you're not getting a piece of it. You know what I mean? Not until you do the things I want you to do. And hopefully they will listen. It just takes pressure, man. That's all it is us standing up and voting with your dollars. That's why supporting you guys is important, because your independence, you're trying to just do your thing with your passion and your love. And it's important for us to support you and go, here, I'll buy an issue. At least, you know what I mean? At the very least, I'll buy an issue. If I can, I'll give you an issue and a huge tip.
There's a YouTuber, I think he goes by Absolute Unit, who has a channel where he has like a Danny DeVito voice, but his VTuber models is like a little anime girl. It's very funny. Who made a very good point when I was watching him, and he said, look, your wallet is louder than you could ever be. And that's true. If you don't agree with the practice, like with what Funimation's doing, I think the appropriate response is just to not give them money. And they'll eventually have to crack down and figure out what they do.
Well, look what happened to Disney Plus.
What happened?
Disney Plus lost like 200 million something or other in like December because they wanted to raise their price, and everybody went, screw you. You know what I mean? They're going to recoup. I'm sure everything's going to work out fine when the next Star Wars series comes on. People right now are and account sharing exactly. They're trying to crack down on that because they want to make sure they're getting your money, and they also hate it now because people are savvy. They go, I'm just going to turn off my service for a month. I'll come back when there's a show I really want to watch. So they are over there doing budgeting, going like, we're making this much. All right, so we can afford to buy this. Oh, wait, hold on. Everybody just left. Shit. Cancel this show, cancel that one. You know what I mean? So I understand both sides of it. I understand that the corporation needs this consistent number coming in.
Absolutely.
And viewers feel like, I better have consistent amount of content for my monthly fee. You know what I mean? If you're going to get me for 4 months while there's really nothing that I want to watch, then why am I paying for your service? You know what I mean? So there's a back and forth, and there's a view from both sides, and it's unfortunate because I do understand both. And
so, Chris, I have a question for you about this, because now you run a business with what you're doing. Have you seen that running your own business kind of changes your views on things a lot? Has that affected you at all?
Yes, 100% yes. I'm really careful and diligent with the things that I do and see, because it's not like how it was when you just do the whole I want to buy this thing. Now when people buy stuff from me, I can see in the future and go, well, hold on, let me see how this might affect me later. But yeah, I see it now 100%.
There's an interesting thing when it comes to doing what I think you and I do. Here's an example that might be a little controversial, where Nintendo came out and said you cannot run a Nintendo tournament without their endorsement, and if you do, they will come after you. everybody got mad at Nintendo, and I understand that kind of sucks. If you just want to run a Smash tournament at your school or whatever, and knowing that Nintendo's lawyers could just come in and shut you down and potentially demand money, that sucks for sure. But there's the other side of this that where Nintendo in the Smash community has had a lot of cases of sexual abuse and assault on underage players and things like that going on. So what happens is when, let's say, Mama Bra goes to buy a video game for little Eric and she Googles Smash Brothers and the first article she gets is pedophiles infiltrated the Smash Brothers community. Well, she's not going to buy Smash Brothers anymore because she doesn't want little Eric near that.
Yeah.
Nintendo as a company, it's really kind of hard to figure out like, what is your appropriate reaction to this? Because if you don't take action, parents can assume that you're not doing anything, you don't care about their kid, which takes away from your bottom line, which is going to get you in trouble because you have a duty as a publicly shared company to make money. But you also don't want to be too mean to your fans because that's how you survive. Well, I don't know if their decision was the right one or not, but I kind of get why they did it. But most people I talk to are like, no, it's not okay. I'm like, well, what do you want a company to do? What's the right course of action? And the answer is, well, it's interpretable and subjective.
It's just trickle down to the grip.
Man, I got to trickle down.
Bonus points. 100 points to Chris. He wins.
That was it. Game over.
But you know, there is actually a form of media out there, and we'll wrap this up with this. That when you buy something from them, you don't rent it. You do absolutely own it, and that you can have it, and you can read it. You can use it as kitty litter liner. You can give it to your kids. You can borrow it to your friends. All kinds of stuff. You know what that is? It's indie comics. You can do that with them because we are just happy that you're supporting us in some way.
Yep.
To bring it back full circle, what we all do. If you support people who are independent, well, you can share our work with your friends. That's not a big deal. Sure. Maybe we'll get word of mouth is one of the most powerful resources that a smaller group has. To an extent, I mean, there's plenty of anime or comics or movies I've jumped into because I was told, dude, this thing is pretty cool. You should read it. Check it out. I think we've all probably had that happen at least once. I've made the mistake of buying some video games friends told me were great, and then I'm going, are you high? Why do you like this? But sometimes I'm like, whoa, you were right. This is great. I'm going to wrap us up here, guys. It's about our time. We want to try to go for time limit here. Eric, where can people find you online, sir?
It's ericbrow.com. It's erockvo or at erockvo for, I think, Insta. Most things are at Eric Bra. ERIKBRAA, like the one you wear with an extra A.
And Chris, where can we find you, sir?
I just realized that he has an extra A. It is bra. I get it.
Well, you know what's really funny? Sorry to break up this weird this closing out here, but in Norway it would be bro, and it would be one A with a little circle over it. But when they Americanized it, they added an extra A because they didn't know what to do. And even though there's like almost an O sound in it, but yes, exactly. Thanks to Ellis Island or somewhere, I don't know.
I'm always relishing when you were on another show on Twitch and I hopped into it going, most people come here to see a bra come off. I see it to be the bra come on. I'm like, he's going to hate me for this terribly stupid joke, and he had the right to.
You know what? Funny. After years of being in school and having this last name, trust me, I've heard them all, and I'm thrilled now to hear it. Anybody that wants to talk about being a supporter, things like that, I'm all about it. Thank you so much, and yes, jump on board. Let's laugh about it.
And Chris, where can we find you at, my man?
Oh man, I'm on the Hellspawn site as Twitter. My ad is Crystal Inc. That's mainly where I'm at. I have fun sometimes.
And also, I want to congratulate you, sir. On
I'm going to say a lot of
campaign. I hope that feels good for you, man. You deserved it. I backed that book. I can't wait to get it. Well done.
Oh yeah, you did. Hey, I do appreciate you for doing that.
Always. I am a firm believer that we as individual people who are not big corporations like Marvel, DC, Crunchyroll, Funimation, Shonen Jump, whatever, it's kind of up to us to take care of one another. And that includes taking care of you out there, the reader, the viewer, whatever. We want to take care of you. Eric, I can't show that. I have to censor this now.
Oh, sorry.
And I don't know how to do that.
Oh my God.
Sorry. It's your comic.
Yeah, but I don't show that here for a reason because YouTube will crack me for that.
Okay, sorry.
I have to figure out how to shut that down. How to edit this now. I'm gonna have to cut it short and then resplice into it. So that's gonna be it for tonight, guys. Thank you. And as always, support independent creators. Keep being awesome. If you have topics you'd like to see us tackle in the future about video games, anime, manga, comic, music, whatever, let us know in the comments or get with Azumi in our Discord server. And we'll see you guys then. Have a good night and thank you.
Waiting for the final gates to open to a new tomorrow.